All right, and we're live. Welcome to the Revisionist, a 10-minute video podcast covering innovators in this space. We're here with Michael Shields, the CEO and founder of Vika. Let's hop right in. Michael, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Jason. It's good to see you.
You too. What is Vika?
So Vika is really kind of a next generation technology-driven creative agency. We've expanded the work that we do beyond just creative. So now we're really kind of like a full service agency that includes both creative production and media buying. But our focus to date has really been on a new breed of video advertisers that have never had access to, let's say, connected television advertising before, mostly because of the price point associated with creative. So we're talking about a variety of small businesses, US focused for now, but our first UK campaign is launching later this month. So focused largely on small businesses, first local businesses, but now we've expanded to include a variety of businesses that include D2C brands, new challenger brands that are emerging, even B2B marketers. So we really focus on delivering video advertising capabilities to a group of advertisers that have never been able to access it before.
So you said agency, but I think of Vika like a platform, like a technology and a SaaS play.
Yeah.
Help me understand, help me bridge that gap.
That's right. So we say agency because the core service that we're providing to brands is we create a commercial for them, and then we help them place the media, and then we help them measure the results and optimize, right? So very much what an agency has done. But the way that we do it is technology driven. And just as you alluded to, Jason, our business model is really emerging to be something that's a little bit more SaaS-like. So not only do we work directly with brands, small businesses, but we work with channel partners that represent a bunch of those small businesses. And therefore we start to look a little bit more like a platform, right? So we work with a variety of private equity companies that are essentially channel partners to these small businesses. And we also work with the inventory holders themselves. So we do work directly with connected television companies, streaming services that have SMB focused sales organizations.
So you're talking about SMBs and
Yep.
you're talking about like longer tail, let's say non-traditional advertisers. But who is this built for specifically? Is it built for marketers, or is it built for people with some marketing knowledge, or like who would you say your target audience is and your user base?
It's evolved over time, but we built our system to work again with advertisers that have never seen their brands in sight, sound, and motion before. So as a result, we built the system to be very, very low lift. The original businesses that started working with us, all they did was submit a URL to us. Some submitted their social media presence, but also we worked with advertisers that literally had no online presence, right? So our system kind of goes out on the web and finds everything that's available about a business, not just their website, not just their social media presence, but we actually follow links from Google that show us all their different competitors and stuff. And we do that. We have a proprietary scraper that does this. We do this to learn everything that we can about a business, including those things that are a little bit non-obvious for a scraper. So for instance, we understand who their customer segments are, and we use that for targeting later on. We understand what their differentiated value proposition is as compared to other, let's say, HVAC services in the Cleveland area, right? So we really intimately understand the business before we begin our creative process, and we use all those details in informing the scripts that we develop, the imagery that we develop for a commercial. So it all informs the creative process.
So take me. So that's interesting. So you take a link, and from that link, you take me through the process. I'm let's say I know you're targeting like not just one company. Let's say a chain of laundromats or a chain of local businesses, and I come to you and I say, okay, how can you help me? What do you need from me? And take me through that process.
Right. So starts with the business's URL and their social media presence. So they can do things like submit to us their URL, their Instagram profile, Yelp reviews we look at. But again, they don't need to submit anything. So what our scraper does is we use the seed of what the business is and its geographic location. And then we start doing searches, and then we follow all of the links related to the searches that we find, including on social media. We ingest everything, text and imagery. We do a little computer vision on the imagery to really understand what is this business's footprint out on the web. And all of that information we look at, essentially first we look at as a lump of metadata. Mm-hmm. We then pass it through a tool to give it structure. This is basically passing it back and forth through a few different LLMs. And it gives it that structure of not just the business name and location, but who its customers are, what its customer value proposition is, full description of products and services, and all of those different variables are used in the creative process.
So then you're kicking out an ad, and within that ad, you're kicking out like multiple versions, or you're kicking out one version that I can see, and then can I edit it? Can I alter it? Like, how does it?
Yeah. So crucially, this is a big part of our differentiation from what's out there to date. And we've built Vika specifically to allow for artist intervention at key ways. So the system can be fully automated. So we start with all of that information about a business, we push it through our creative process, and then just like a creative agency normally would, except with full automation, we reference a bunch of cultural analyses on what are macro trends happening in culture and what's their velocity. We utilize that to create fresh scripts that are new for every customer, that are driven by things like seasonality. So we create 4 scripts, we create 4 corresponding storyboards, and 4 corresponding voiceovers as a result. But at each step along the way, we allow for artist intervention, right? So our system is automated, pushing from one step to the next. But an artist can review at each step along the way, and then they can go in and edit things. So for instance, they can give commands over what kind of voice that they want to use for the voiceover. As we get further into the creative process, we actually take those storyboards, we tokenize them, we create frames, right, imagery from the storyboards, and then we use tools like frame interpolation to turn it into shots. And again, at each step along the way, we can specify different camera angles, we can specify different actions like zooming in and out, we can make changes to particular characters, all driven by natural language, textual input. Eventually it'll be voice level input of, I want to change the tone of all of these different images, or I want to change who the protagonist is. So we have our artists have the opportunity to intervene at each step along the way. And we think that this is crucial because small businesses want a quick solution, but they don't want a fully automated solution that gives them some creative that doesn't represent
right.
them.
Right.
What they also want is some degree of oversight. So we allow that.
How do you keep them from hallucinating then is the artist intervention? Like it keeps it on course.
Yeah, so
you give a prompt like a VO, but a VO is not going to give you something consistent and that looks good, and that actually is informed by this proprietary ingest system and workflow. So it really is like a hybrid between a managed service and a technology stack.
That's right. It's technology driven.
Robot business you have, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's an interesting evolution. You mentioned tools like some of the things that are out there like VO3. If you look at the way that people are actually using these tools, the leading AI filmmakers, the way that they're using these tools are the way in which I just described how the Vika system works, where they're using each of these different tools for their area of expertise. There are true multimodal solution emerging. Like VO3 would tell you that it's a true multimodal solution. But if you look at the way that artists are actually using it, they're cutting up individual scenes, they're changing voices, they're trying to establish consistent characters across scenes, and they're utilizing a variety of other tools to do so.
So I know you going back to when you worked at Fox Networks and like you're a classic media, you went to Oxford, right? You're
for grad school, yeah.
Yeah, you obviously have run into some really sophisticated circles. Like, why did you start this? Especially there's so many different AI applications out there. Like, what made you want to start this?
Yeah, so most of my career since 2002, I've been working on essentially new business models for television. So I started working at MTV in 2002 before you could put video on the internet, right? So it was a great education for me, doing the first ad server deal, structuring the first digital sales departments, the first digital pricing, planning, and inventory offering. So I had this great, like, kind of seminal education in digital advertising, but it was really about the evolution of TV business models, all the way from the time where we first introduced short form video and full episode player and unique content offerings that were complementary to the linear programming, then TV everywhere apps, and now the streaming present that we're in now. So I got to see that whole evolution over the last 13 years. I've been more narrowly focused on developing specifically new advertising products to help that evolution in television. So this includes new brand and content offerings, new integrations into television programming, new ways of measuring those integrations through social media and that sort of thing. And one of the things that I had been thinking about along the way, ultimately, all of those products I developed were trying to not only help TV companies with monetization, but trying to reduce ad load, trying to provide a better consumer experience. I've always said that one of the key tests of our ad products should actually be increased time spent with content, right, as a way of indicating consumer experience. So it's ultimately about providing that better experience. And one of the things that I always wanted to do was just see ads from those local businesses that you interact with more frequently, right? So to see an ad for the dry cleaner down the street, or to see an ad promoting some band that's playing at your corner bar that weekend, wouldn't that be more exciting if we have to watch commercials to see something that really, really is relevant to us? And local and small, I think, is relevant. Obviously, we can add a bunch of other audience targeting measures to increase relevancy, but local is truly relevant. So I kind of started from that premise, right? And you look at the problem of why we don't see more small businesses, local businesses on TV. It's because really two reasons. One, they haven't been able to afford a commercial in the past, even those low production budget things that we see from time to time. And then two, they don't know how to place the media. So Vika, at its core, does two things. One, we make commercials for small businesses. And then two, we place them with very tightly zip code and audience targeted buys, so there's no waste in their media buy.
That's amazing. So the last question, like, how's it been going? Like, give us some customer testimonials or examples.
I say this without hyperbole that it's actually going, in many regards, far better than I expected. So if you think about the other thing that we're doing for small businesses have been well served with middle funnel marketing in the past. So, they do their Google search budget, they have their Meta budget, they're well served for middle funnel marketing. But they've never been able to, because of that cost concern, access top of the funnel marketing, right? See their brand portrayed in sight, sound, and motion. Obviously, the middle funnel allows them to have measurability, to have an understanding of what their return on ad spend is, and to be a little bit more analytical about it. So we're trying to, as best as possible, introduce that analytical capability for top of funnel marketing as well. So we do things like pixel our website, pixel the actual commercial transactions through their website or a form submission, so we can see the customer journey from IP-based exposure on the streaming service all the way through a form submission or a thank you page on the website. And the results that we've seen have been phenomenal, right?
So you're doing creative production all the way to the targeting and outcomes?
That's right. That's right.
Full stack for the local, at the local level.
That's right.
Is that, sorry, you were going to get into case study. I apologize, but isn't that that's an expensive service, So shoot me straight. Like, someone spent X and the result was Y. Like, can you boil it down that tight?
Yeah, totally. So first I'll say just our core package to get started, and we think this drives a lot of value for different categories of advertisers, is like for $5,000, this is what we recommend to small businesses. Not only do you get this unique cinematic narrative-driven 30-second spot, but we also execute over 100,000 impressions in the zip code with audience-based targeting, right? Yeah. So we optimize the campaign over the course of time, right? And what that is driving for dentists, for daycare centers, for dry cleaners, right, is driving really, really positive return on ad spend. So you may have seen some of the what we published recently. We have a great customer that's done a bunch of different repeat buys. The Funplex, it's an amusement park, a couple different amusement parks in New Jersey. So just earlier this year, they ran a couple campaigns with us last year. Then they took on our what we call our Audience Plus product, which is a media optimization solution that once we get that return path data, we're tracking all that pixel data, we optimize the campaign over time. We define unique audiences for that customer, and then we basically target lookalikes. So over 4 different campaigns this year, the Funplex made a total commitment, creative and media, of $26,000. And they drove, from what we can see, from what we can track on their website, $488,000 of new party bookings and tickets through the website. Right?
You're able to correlate the creation of these ads and the running of these ads all the way full funnel from concept to completion, 26 grand, almost 500.
That's right. Right. And we've seen similar results. And by similar, I mean mid to high double-digit return on ad spend results with dentists, with basement waterproofing companies, right? So what we're starting to see is that, like, this is true across all different verticals. And that's why I said that it's actually surprising to me that it has been effective as we can track, right? Mm-hmm. So we've actually seen return on ad spend numbers that are greater than other forms of digital advertising, which is super exciting, right? Because it suggests that maybe TTTV, and specifically CTV, with these narrowly targeted buys, is maybe the best venue for small businesses to get their message out there, right? And to articulate their brand message, overcoming the noise of all these other media.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
I've never been so excited about waterproofing basement advertising. You're helping to usher in some ways democratizing television. And so
for sure,
we can call it there. Michael, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Jason.
Vika-ai.com.
That's right, Vika-ai.com.
Awesome. And we'll have some stuff up along with that. And we'll have to make sure we get some case studies, some visuals so people can see an ad.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jason.
All right, let me stop.